Hello and welcome back to Fireside Improv Chapter 26 of this Karl Franz saga, where the Brass Keep has finally fallen, the Plague Lands has fully been restored to Empire control, but in the process, much of the northwestern part of the Empire has turned to ruin as chaos is causing the lands to split apart by their corruption. The Emperor and his fellow ally in Ralph Koch is able to finally look to putting things back as they should be.
Forward in his name, ever onward. I am Franz.
First step is going to be taking Krudenwald and dealing with the two demonic hosts that are looking to unite in Middenheim. Going to have to be a little careful here to make sure that they are not dealt with piecemeal themselves and are able to isolate the enemy armies instead. The demonic hordes do join together in Middenheim to create a horde that is too large for the Emperor to deal with just yet. Ralph Koch is ordered to hold his position and encamp in order to bring on a few new recruits. However, that recruit is going to be a battle wizard that needs to arrive from Altdorf. Dietz Brach is going to be the one selected in order to meet up with Ralph Koch to provide that additional support. In the meantime, new greatswords are going to be risen by the Emperor. A lot of money was recently brought in, which is going to be invested into Marienburg to upgrade its defenses and infrastructure.
To the provinces.
And since there are no more demonic hordes right around there,
on march,
Eldred is going to back up just a little bit into Reichland in order to start recruiting a greater host, in order to start pushing back up the wasteland. Middenstag is the next empire city to fall to the demonic hordes. There is nothing that can be done to stop them. The Emperor hopes that he can start to turn back this tide soon as his anger is growing. He wants to purge all of these Norskin followers of chaos. After raising Middenstag, the forces of chaos come back together to form their greater horde once again. Unfortunately, they are not quite giving themselves up to be allowed to be overwhelmed one at a time.
The small folk need me. So?
Eldred's force continues to grow, and he does grab a
Yes,
captain
Graf.
to join him as well.
Get training.
Bring a little bit of that heroic energy to his army.
It is time.
Volmir von Raukov of Ostland comes again asking for a non-aggression pact with the Emperor, and the Emperor decides he will go ahead and accept it. Although this final elector count from the old days is still around, not even in Ostland, he has shown a certain degree of honor and strength by settling in the middle of the Plague Lands and surviving. Now the Emperor knows that it was in fact a grand demonic horde that was surrounding him. He has to give him a little bit of credit. Part of the Chaos Horde again does move out. Perhaps he has gone even a touch too far, and the Emperor decides that it is time to move out himself.
Bring me to my men.
Along
In the
with
name of Magnus.
Mr. Ralph Koch,
By
to
Sigma.
see if they might be able
Who
to
calls?
isolate one of these armies.
Let us begin.
Balthazar Gelt also decides that he would like a pair of Empire captains to round out his army as well.
Your orders?
So he goes to Altdorf and requisitions a
They'll be
couple of
marching all
captains
right.
to join him up in the north.
Your orders? Weapon practice? The Empire. I only serve the Changer. Yes, my lord.
Eldred's army is as complete as
We
it will
march.
get at the moment, so he does march up into
It is for the best.
Gorsel demonic-held territory to do a bit of raiding and see if he might be able to get one of the armies to come to him, which will leave Gorsel open to attack. Cormac Dowybreaker has shown himself once again, moving back in towards those central lands of the Empire. The other demonic hosts also did attack the former Elector Count of Ostland and did sack the settlement there, but it does leave him vulnerable to attack from the Emperor and Ralph Koch. And so the Emperor does move against
I will go.
the demon.
Preparing rites of exorcism. Aiding the mundanes. My faith forbids it. I command here. Into battle.
They are able to take down the demonic host without too much trouble, leaving only the one horde remaining in Middenheim, which is manageable for the combined forces of the Emperor and Ralph. Over in the west,
Direct me.
Bernhard is
They'll be
able
marching,
to join
all
up
right.
with
To the
Eldred
provinces.
and the raiding force. One of the demons did, in fact, leave the
strengthen
settlement
the
of
Empire.
Gorsel and is somewhat isolated. Eldred decides to
It
go
is
ahead
war.
and march up to meet the army. And they are able to destroy the demonic host and open up Gorsel to a counterattack. Harrisburg is the next settlement to fall to the Warriors of Chaos. One by one, this western and northern parts of the empire continues to fall, but the emperor is poised to start striking back. The emperor starts to
Summon
move
the Elector
towards
Counts.
Middenheim in order to reclaim it.
Step to it! Champion of the
Ralph
faith.
does follow along a little
My
bit
journey
further
begins.
behind in order
I
to
serve
try to
the
recover a
Helden
little
Hammer.
bit of strength along the march. In the meantime, in the west, Eldred does move on Gorsel
Fight for our
to
nation.
make the first strike back against the demons to reclaim the Empire territories. And up in the north, Balthazar Geltz prepares
I am ready. Are you?
with a few more soldiers to launch his own counterstrike to take Norden and Castle von Rauken back, as well as down below. It seems that everything is in hand. Cormac Dowybreaker has used his demonic powers to jump over the settlement so that he can continue to march deeper into Empire territory. Meanwhile, Azazel, the demon lord, has marched further south away from Middenheim. The Emperor decides he can't let this demonic horde continue to run into the rest of the Empire territories and must be dealt with. And so he
Sigmarite
marches south
Archlector.
in order
I
to
am Prince
deal
and
with
Emperor.
that threat.
Protector of the weak. Honored to serve. Moving out.
Is it time? To war! Ready!
Fortunately, he can't quite make it there,
Right!
and he hopes he will not be playing another game of chase. Over in the west, Eldred spots that there is still
Yes, my lord.
a demonic horde in the waters nearby. He is going to
arms!
chase it down and eliminate it so that he is free to march further north and continue to reclaim Empire
provinces.
settlements.
By Sigma's right.
How should we proceed?
The Empire
Get
captains
training.
are making
Your
it up
orders.
to rendezvous with
Drill.
Gelt's armies. Gelt also
By the
sees
comet.
a new fleet off the coast
You
of
summon me.
Selzenmund that he may have to deal with before he can move over towards Nordland. Louen Leoncoeur is looking for a non-aggression pact with the Emperor by virtue of working together to purge the Plague Lands. The Emperor does decide that Louen has regained his trust. Although he doesn't still trust the Fey Enchantress, he will accept the non-aggression pact with the King of Bretonnia. Cormac continues to march ever closer to more Empire territories as Azazel continues to run away. The Emperor decides that he is going to continue to chase Azazel as he does not want that force to still be in his territory. He feels like he will be able to retreat back to deal with Cormac after.
Bring me to my men. My orders are to move.
'Tis my duty. I will do anything for Sigma.
In the meantime, the Emperor does order Theodric to rise again in Altdorf with the goal of hopefully being able to cut off the Demon Lord and end the chase. In the Brass Keep, Luther Wissen is also called forth in order to start settling some of these lost Empire cities. Up in the north, the demonic host did sail away from Sulzenmund, opening up the possibility for Balthazar to move against Norden. He is going to go a little of the way.
Very well, I'll move.
And then hide to see if there are any movements that are going to be made before committing to the attack on Norden. If the demonic hosts or the Nordland people are going to respond, he wants to be able to pull back quickly in order to meet those threats. And Eldred continues his march north to reclaim the city of Arnau. Cormac appears to be leaving behind the Brass Keep and other Empire cities, perhaps to march north to Sulzenmund. This prompts Balthazar Gelt to go ahead and start moving down to see if that is a threat that he is going to need to deal with the extra funds that have been built up. Sulzenmund is also going to be getting some infrastructure upgraded, and Azazel has moved back into Middenheim, which is exactly what the Emperor would have wanted. So he does move back up with Ralph Koch in order to soon put an end to that threat. In the meantime, Thadric is sent to retake Karaberg, and Eldred is sent towards the north, towards Arnau, hoping that the Bretonnians don't actually take some of these settlements and think that they are able to settle in the Empire. If they think that, the new friendship that has been developed with the King of Bretonnia is not going to last all that long, as they will need to be sent packing in one way or another. Hopefully it can be done peacefully. And it happened. The Bretonnians were stupid enough to settle in Empire territory. The Emperor knows it is another person that he is going to have to deal with once the chaos have been dealt with. Maybe they will accept some gold for the settlements. It is true that they have been of some help, but if they do not leave willingly, the Emperor knows it will come to blows. The demonic hosts have also started to move out back towards Gorsel, which means Eldred is going to have to retreat in order to cut them off, leaving Wrecker's Point open for the Bretonnians to settle as well. And if they do that, it's another settlement that the Emperor does not want to have to fight over, but he will if necessary. Cormac Dowybreaker has also gone down south in order to perhaps go deeper into the heartlands of the Empire. The Emperor decides that he is going to go alone to try to take it one against one.
Ulrich's will.
While Ralph Koch starts the siege of Middenheim.
The Empire!
In order to help out Ralph, Balthazar Gelt comes down as well.
What?
Move!
Azazel does decide to try to sally out against Ralph. His host is strong, and unfortunately, Balthazar Gelt is not able to quite reinforce. Ralph knows that if he were to retreat here, the Golden Wizard, after his long march, will not be able to also run and will be caught. Ralph decides that he needs to stand his ground, do what damage he can, so that whatever remains of the demonic host can be dealt with soon by Gelt. The demonic host dwarfs that of the Empire forces. Ralph knows that victory is hopeless, but he does hope that he can at least slow them down. Ralph tries to set up his forces to use the terrain to his advantage and hopefully hold them off a little bit, where the Empire's crossbows and handgunners can do some damage.
We serve Franz! Sigma! Sir! Ready for orders! Double time! For the Empire! At speed! Awaiting orders! Quickly now!
The battle goes incredibly poorly,
At once! With haste!
and Ralph decides simply to retreat. He didn't accomplish much at all, as the enemy forces are just as strong as ever.
We are Sigma's heirs! Rah! By Ulrich's wrath! Obey! Sigma, preserve us!
Ultimately, Ralph was able to get out of the battlefield intact, but the demonic host still remains in the settlement, and the Golden Wizard's army is there. So perhaps there is still some way to salvage the situation. If that force, as well as Cormac, is able to be dealt with, it does open up the rest of the Empire to be reclaimed, as long as the Bretonnians don't think that it belongs to them. If they start to take some of these settlements, it was not going to go pleasantly.